Excited to get back out and practicing this week and get that Washington game behind us. I think we all have a bad taste in our mouth about the way we prepared and played and everything in regards to that game. So, guys are fired up about getting back out and competing and playing against a good UCLA team and having a chance to, to get better and show that, our performance last week I don't think was indicative of our football team and get it behind us. So we had a great attitude on Sunday. I think it refocused our guys a little bit and I think there was a lot to be taken from the game. I thought defensively we played much better and so I think there was some definite progress made, and we've just got to take the good things from that and that experience and move forward and make sure we don't let something like that happen again, because that was a pretty poor performance. So looking forward to this week and the challenges that UCLA has. They got a good football team. They're going to come in here hungry, I'm sure, after losing 2 games in a row, and want to get back on track. So I think it's going to be 2 teams that are going to be playing hard and looking to get back on track.
Questions?
Sonny, if you don't have Brennan, who do you expect to step up and provide you some pass rush? It hasn't been much lately, and their quarterback gets sacked, I think, more than anybody in the league. But if you haven't put a lot of pressure on people.
Yeah. The thing we have to do is, it's like anything else. You've got to, when somebody goes down and you're not going to have somebody, then the next man's got to step up. And, the guy that's probably done a good job as anybody for rushing the passer for us has been Noah Westerfield. He's a young player that's, gets better every week. He's athletic. He's got some length. He's what you're looking for at that defensive end position. And so I think he'll be a guy that we can hopefully get a good consistent pass rush from. Going to need to do a good job inside, getting a little bit more push than we have gotten. And then obviously we're going to need to have some good effective blitz packages and be able to heat the quarterback up and mix that up between rushing 4 and rushing 3 and then bring in pressure.
Can you talk about Westerfield? And he missed a lot of his senior season. It looks like you guys kind of got a steal there.
Yeah. He was one of those players that you watched him on film and you could see his athleticism and he was one of those guys that wasn't real heavily recruited, but you know how that stuff goes. There's so much that goes into that. He was just a good fit for us. He's a really good student. He's a really bright kid. Likes to play football. Comes from a good high school football program in Texas, and always played basketball. So he was always trying to keep his weight down. And we thought he had a good frame, and we think he's got a chance to be a really good player for us in the future. So, he's probably grown a little bit since last December, and continues to get bigger and stronger, and has a very bright future.
How much weight he's put on?
I don't know. He's probably 215. He's probably up to close to 240 now.
As I've learned, no two spread offenses are basically the same. Now UCLA, I guess you could call theirs a spread too. But what do they do differently? What's their characteristics?
Yeah, it's interesting. Their offensive coordinator Noel Mazzoni and I go way, way back. Actually, he was a quarterback at the University of New Mexico when my dad was coaching there. So I've known Noel since I was in the 4th grade. Actually 3rd grade, and so we go way back. We've kind of he was at Ole Miss when I was at Kentucky, and he was interested in the spread stuff, and he was at Auburn. We go way back, and so a lot of the one back principle stuff that we were doing way back in the late '90s kind of came from the same place, and then he took his offense and did his own thing with it, and so it's he does a nice job of running the football. I think that's the thing that is a little bit unique about what they do. Obviously, their back's been a very effective player, getting a lot of yards for him, And he does a nice job keeping things simple, and they execute well, and they're always going to have a wrinkle or two every single week. And they're completing a high percentage of their passes. I think they're like at 72%, which which means that they're an efficient offense, and they know what they're doing, and so it's a tough offense to prepare for. They do a good job of stretching you horizontally. A lot of the motions and throw to the backs coming out of the backfield and really make you cover the entire field. And I think that's one of the things his offenses, seem to always do.
Had you ever seen a play like they pulled when Hundley ran towards the sidelines like he couldn't hear what was going on, and
Yeah,
they snapped
yeah.
it to Fuller, and they threw
They'll do a little something every week. They're going to have one or two little things like that. You just got to be prepared. Make sure you're sound and because they're going to have a little trick for you.
Had you ever seen that?
I'd seen something like that one before. It's been a while though. Hadn't seen it in a while.
Sonny, the other day you talked about how they do Washington did a lot of scheme stuff on defense, and on the teleconference this morning, Mark Helfrich said the same thing, that they may do more stuff schematically on defense than anybody in the league. Specifically, what did they do against you guys that gave you difficulties?
Well, first of all, it's kind of a guessing game. You never really have an opportunity to get settled in because they're going to do a lot of different things, and so what has to happen is you've got to really do a good job of just executing, focus on, because it's hard to predict where their players are going to be, and when you play against a defense like that, you really have to focus on your own execution, and we just didn't do that well on Saturday, and so they do show you a little bit of everything.
Are Willis and Pyatt done for the season? And what specifically are their injuries?
Both of them. Both of them are torn ACLs. Yeah, Griffin suffered his in the game, kind of a non-contact injury in the game, and then Joel did his in practice.
You know what your knees
I don't have any idea.
Joel did his in practice when?
Wednesday.
What kind of effect does the loss of Pyatt have on your secondary, and particularly for this week going against?
Yeah, it's an area we don't have a lot of depth. Yeah, it's we've been hit pretty hard at safety between, Tartable having his ACL in camp, and then Pyatt having his, and then Stefan hadn't been healthy, and then missing Lowe last week. So it's been, probably 4 of the top 6 guys have been out at times this year. So it's just been a position where we hadn't been able to stay healthy. Avery's kind of been in and out at different times. So, that's been the one. We've stayed healthy for the most part on this team, and the safety position's been the one issue that we've seemed to have had, this year.
Do you have any further sense of whether or not you'll have Steph this week?
Yeah,
and
he
Lowe?
should practice today. They'll both practice today. I don't know that either one of them are going to be full go yet, but they'll both.
For Saturday, do you have a sense of?
I would say I would expect them both to play.
Any further questions?
Yeah, with kind of your talk about a lack or the preparation during the week leading up to Washington and them coming back focused. I mean, what do you make that Washington game then, kind of with your guys?
Well, just we didn't play well, and so when you don't play well, you go back and you say, okay, why didn't we play well? And it usually starts we didn't coach as well as we should have, and and just you try to address the things that you can control, which is your mentality and your effort and your preparation, and that's what you look at. You don't say, well, we don't have enough running backs, or we don't have enough good quarterbacks, or we don't, all that stuff, because you can't really control that. And so you try to figure out, what can we do better as coaches, and then what can our players do better, and so I think in a lot of ways, when you don't play well, you obviously have some hunger and you want to get it fixed quickly, and they recognized on Sunday that we needed to make sure we had great focus and great intensity, and make sure we're doing the little things correctly, because that's what's we're doing a lot of the big things correct. We've just got to make sure we're doing the little things correctly.
Did you get the sense that maybe you guys were riding a little high after all the scoring and everything like that?
Oh, I don't know. I think I just think the way the game played out, we just didn't handle it very well. And again, you can come up with a bunch of excuses, but it doesn't do any good,
You've talked for weeks about the likelihood that those two freshman running backs would eventually be in the mix because of whatever circumstance. Do you expect them to start playing a little bit more now going forward? And what's the situation with Calfani at this point?
Yeah. Calfani's fine. He had surgery on his thumb, and he's got a cast, and so he's learning how to, to play with that cast. And so we expect him to be available, and a lot of how much is he going to play will depend on, how well he gets accustomed to playing with a cast on his hand. And the other guys, played a little bit more Saturday than they had been. I thought Trey did some good things. I thought at times Vic did some good things. They're both still young. They both have things that they need to improve on and can get better at. But we like them both. And as I've been saying really from the beginning, you're gonna have some injuries at running back, and we've had those with Jeff missing extended time, and now with Calfani's situation being what it is. We knew at some point those guys are going to need to play more and more and more, and so we've been preparing for that, and I thought they did a good job on Saturday. Same thing this week. We're gonna, he's going to do more, and then we'll, kind of evaluate him later in the week and see if he's available or exactly what he can do. He's close in his rehab. He just hasn't done a lot of on the field stuff yet. And so, we're going to see if, all that depends on, does he swell? What's the pain like? How much can he practice? Just all those type of things. So, those are all unknown right now.
You talk about the defensive line just in general, and in terms of them not being able to get as much pressure as maybe you'd like, is it technique? Is it talent? Is it depth? Is it a little bit of everything? Where's that kind of at?
Yeah, I think we're inside. We're built a little bit more to as run stopper type of people. When you look at Moose and Austin Clark and just some of those guys that are playing a lot inside for us, that's more of their abilities. And so for us, we've got to do a better job getting some push on the edge. And Todd Barr's done it at times. And like I said, Scarlett was our most consistent pass rusher, and Westerfield showed some glimpses of doing some good things. And Puka has been probably not as effective as we would like yet. He's kind of been had a nagging injury here and there, and we need to get him, playing a little bit faster and a little bit higher level. So, I don't. It's like anything else. We just got to keep getting better. We have those players, and they're good players, and they're going to play hard for us, but we've got to do a good job getting some heat on people.
If Scarlett cannot go, who would? Are we going to see Tony McCary start at defensive end again? Or?
No, it'd be Noah Westerfield.
Sonny, how do you evaluate how your offensive line played last game? They played pretty well, it seems like, most of the season. What did you think about
Yeah, I
Saturday?
didn't think they played great Saturday. It was going to be a big challenge for us. That's, Washington's strength was going to be their front. And their, I thought their front was more physical than our offensive line was, and, was disappointed to see that. And so we're going to need to play better this week. No.
Oh, what have you thought of your linebackers so far? I guess there was some maybe question as to the depth, but it looks like they've.
Yeah, it's been good actually. Yeah, I like the way those guys have played. We've been able to get more out of Hardy than we thought. He's got such an unusual injury, and that surgery. You just don't know how guys respond, and Hardy's really bounced back well from that, and I think has been able to give us more snaps than we anticipated. And then Jake Kearney I think has been a same thing. You just don't know what you're going to get with a junior college player, and I think he's been a real pleasant surprise and been a very solid football player for us. And so it's been good to see some of the young guys play. You know, Isaiah Tongalava's played some snaps defensively the other day and did some good things, and it's good to see him doing that. And he's starting to get a bigger role on special teams as a true freshman, and you know, the kid can run, and he picks things up really quickly, adapts very fast. Hamilton, I think, has done a lot of good things as well, and so you know, we feel like that's a pretty solid group for us. Obviously, you know, Barton's been consistent, and Jefferson's you know, playing pretty well for us, and you know, I've been really pleased with that group.
In terms of the defensive backs, would you consider moving anyone else there in terms of from offense to defense now that Griffin's out for the year?
Yeah, you know, we're gonna see this week. You know, Bryce McGovern's gonna get some reps at safety this week. Start trying to get him ready.
After Arizona, you mentioned you were really pleased with the response, and it sounds like, at least for as of Sunday, you were happy with your guys' response. What do you think maybe it says about your guys that they're?
Well, you know, I thought our guys came back and bounced back well. You know, after the Colorado game and Washington State too. I mean, we didn't practice last Sunday. We got back at 5 o'clock in the morning. We were tired and we had midterms, and so we didn't practice Sunday. So it was hard for me to get a sense of that on Sunday. So it was a little bit different week from a preparation standpoint. You know, we are, especially football players, football coaches, everybody, we're kind of creatures of habit. And so when you have to change things up a little bit, sometimes it's not ideal. And so last week was a little bit different. But, again, you know, I got a sense of our guys coming back on Sunday. And, you know, it's what you want. I mean, you want them to not be satisfied that they, you know, didn't play well. And, you know, that's a sign of kids that care and, you know, of having a good football team when, you know, they respond to adversity the way you want them to.
Was it like that at all last year?
Well, we were just, you know, it was tough. We just had a hard time kind of keeping up with people last year, matching up and keeping up. So it's a little bit different now.
Did McGovern play defensive back in high school? And what about him makes you think that he might be able to help you there?
I think Bryce has played some DB. The biggest thing is just his role in special teams. You know, since the 2 years I've been here, he's been one of our best special teams players, and he's a good tackler, and he's a smart kid and plays hard and learns quickly, and he's played in games, you know, and so just all the stuff, if you're going to have to move somebody and try to get him ready to play in 4 practices, you know, he checks all the boxes that you're looking for. And, you know, the biggest thing is he's available, you know, and so that's, you know, step 1's available. Step 2, has he played? Step 3, can he tackle? Step 4, can he learn in 4 practices? And so, you know, he kind of checked all those boxes.
So you expect him on the field in that position Saturday?
I mean, we're going to see, you know, how he practices, you know.
In terms of safety, it seems like that's a pretty big transition. Have you had to do that before in weeks where you?
Yeah, we did that a lot last year. Yeah, we you know, we kind of did some high school practices last year where we practiced with receivers on offense and then moved them to defense and practiced some guys on defense last year. So you know, that's a theme that unfortunately has been pretty common the last year and a half. Hopefully we'll get past that and, you know, and then address that in recruiting.
You're not going to make Cam Walker go back there, huh?
Well, we made, you know, Cam played back there some on Saturday. You know, yeah, he played, he probably played 25, 30 snaps at safety on Saturday. So, you know, it's not ideal for him, not ideal for us. But you know, you do what you have to do. And like I said, I thought he played well, the snaps he played back there, and I thought defensively we played well. And again, I think it's a credit to our players for playing hard and you know, our coaches for, you know, not complaining and just, you know, getting the next guy ready to go play. And I think that's what you have to do sometimes, and you know, it's part of it.
And how much does Hundley's presence put a stress on the secondary and the safety?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, a lot. You know, he's He's a good quarterback. He's big. He's athletic. He can make all the throws. He's got experience. He can run. He's all. He's going to be a pro quarterback, and so it's he's good.
Okay, guys, final question for Sonny. Time for final question.
Will you be able to tell this week with your offense if what happened last week is just a one-day aberration and that you guys are back to doing or we need to see it in the game?
Yeah, I think we're going to need to see it in the game. I think it's like anything else. I mean, we had a really good week of practice offensively last week, so it wasn't like we saw this coming. We just got to get back out and play and execute better and like I said, handle the bad things that happen to you sometimes in a football game a little better than we did last week.